let's install some LMA cladding. I'm in charge of doing this wall here, and I'm going to share with you my top 10 tips for installing timber cladding. Slow down. No one cares how quickly you can do something if you do it wrong. From experience, I can tell you that most mistakes happen when a job is being rushed. A few years ago, I was installing some cedar cladding. I was rushing and I made a mistake which led me to drilling a row of holes in the wrong place. The result was about 20 boards needed to be removed and replaced with new boards, wasting several hours and costing the company over $1,000. Slowing down means taking a step back and considering how what you're doing is going to affect the job later. Sometimes it means getting a second opinion before you start something. I'll confirm that. It was 35mm for the screws, eh? It means taking a moment to check that you're cutting the right board the right way and the right length. Got a nice little color-coded chart there showing what boards need to go where. It's kind of important because the longest boards, 5/4s, about $200 each. So we don't want to use the wrong boards. Nail your set out and don't screw it up. Much like when you're building a timber deck, you don't want a tiny little board left at the end. So you need to plan everything out so that doesn't happen. If you can butt me into the brick over there, please. 3985 divided by 115, which is the cover of each board, so we have 3465. We've got a couple of options here. The first is we can stretch out our gap slightly. 34.65 means that we have 34 full boards and 33 gaps. That works out at almost 2mm a gap, so 7mm gaps instead of 5. That's getting pretty big, so let's look at another option. If we go for 33 full boards, then we divide the extra in half, which works out at 95mm. That would mean that we have a 95mm board at each end, 5mm gaps, and full boards all the way in between. Tom, what do you reckon about having a board at 95 at each end?
Yeah, 95 every time.
Yeah, sweet. 95 it is. Here you go. 50mm high. By 50 because that's the minimum that your cladding needs to be below your finished floor height. Get your height right with a straight edge. Now we just screw some blocks to the wall at that height and clamp a straight edge underneath them. That gives you a physical point to measure down to get your board length and something to sit your boards on. A couple of points though. LMA is very heavy. It's probably 3 to 4 times as heavy as cedar. Still quite a lot heavier than pine, so it's going to bend your straight edge. So you need to make sure that your clamps are quite close to the board that you're putting on before it's fixed in place. We're cutting a 15-degree angle on the bottom of our boards to act as a drip edge, so you need to be careful that your straight edge doesn't slip off that bevel, otherwise your boards after that are going to be at the wrong height and you'll end up with little steps in your cladding. That's about a $50 piece of trim there. Not quite. You're not cold? Oh, you're wearing a few layers under there, don't you?
Yeah, I got thermals and my normal thing in this, and I'm so cold.
I was reading this thing the other day, this fella that's worked in Antarctica, and he reckons it feels colder here just because it's so damp. All right, I still need to cut this to length. Just going to make sure that I cut the angle on the right end. Tongues this way, that's the bottom. 2 different cuts means 2 different saws. The top cut's going to be square and the bottom cut is going to have a 15-degree bevel. If you're ever cladding up to a feet on a gable, you'll have a mitre cut at the top as well. And if you're cladding above a roof, then you'll have a mitre cut at the bottom. So your top and bottom cuts are pretty much always going to be different. If you've got 2 saws, it saves you changing your saw constantly and spinning your boards around. So I'll actually dock the top first. And having 2 saws is going to cut down on mistakes too. 15-degree angle on the bottom. No pressure. Get your first board perfect. Can you see that up there? We've already spent a fair bit of time getting our cavity batten straight in and out from the wall. Now it's time to get our first board plumb and straight left to right. For us, that first board serves as a datum so that we can get the rest of the boards in the right place and measure parallels off that first board. Once we've done our cladding, the bricklayer can come back and brick hard up against our LMA, so he's got a nice plumb straight line to go to.
How do you clean this up?
With great difficulty. At least on this side there's a little bit more room. Yep, I'm on. Straight up there. 35mm in. You ready to put a screw in there?
I can be.
Just don't drive them in. We actually want them out to get our screw line set up anyway. There you go. For the rest of the boards, we're just going to brad them on initially, and then the screwing off all happens once the entire face is done. Scribe around your head flashings, if you can. Head flashings stick out past the window, so the cladding needs to be notched around them. If your cut is even a few millimeters off, it's going to look a little bit ugly, and you might need to recut the whole board. All I need to do is sit it on my straight edge, parallel it to where it wants to sit, and then just tap your tongue, which doesn't get seen, and that will leave a little indent just where that is. I still need a couple of measurements though. One from this board to the edge of the head flashings, call it 72, minus 5mm gap, so 67, and 20mm, so 30 at least to fit under the window. There are situations where you may not be able to scribe it, in which case just make sure that you measure to the front of where the board will sit by using an offcut in against the wall. So that is as far as we think we can go. We may be able to get another one on, but we can't go beyond that because we need the veranda roof on there and an apron flashing on top of that. But we should be able to go out the front, finish up there and start screwing things off. Brute force isn't always the answer. You usually need a bit of brute force to get your boards under the window flange, but if you're hitting it and it's not going anywhere, take it out, have a look, problem solve, and have another crack. There we go. I probably just shouldn't have pinned that right on. We've had to take this one off because we can't physically get this board underneath the window and around the head flashing without either making the cutout up there really big and ugly or just taking this board out. So in hindsight, we probably shouldn't have pinned this board on fully, but they are only brad, so it's not too big a deal.
Oh, how am I going to get...
You're under there now, aren't you?
Yeah, it's just getting this next one.
Yeah, we'll need to kind of twist that board at the top and slide it in. That's good, eh? It's better work, this better work. You're gonna have to twist your top in.
I've got it under, so now I gotta go up and across maybe.
Come on. It's that flashing, man. Take it out. What I'll do is I'll plane a little bit off the back of that board, just off the edge. This is going to work perfectly. Oh, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Oh, too soon.
How'd you speak?
That is, I think. Yep, there we go.
Yeah.
I'll put that screw back in because it'll find its old hole. So that's the second to last board done. What I'm going to do now is set up some screws and show you how we drill the holes. Countersinkers can be untidy. On the renovation about 6 months ago when we last fitted LMA, we tried using a countersink bit with these screws, but it ends up making a hole that's too big. But I figured out last week that the 6mm pocket screw bit is perfect. Use a brand new chalk line with water. Now, there's quite a few different ways of doing this. First time I was taught to use a straight edge. The other guys like to use a string line. I'm going to use a water chalk line. It's what I used last time. It works on a nice cloudy day. Works better with soft timber though. Hopefully the window doesn't get in the way. Bang it a couple times. That's worked pretty well. We'll go through and mark them before they dry though. When you're just starting to screw off a wall, take a step back, have a look, and make sure that you're screwing the right side of the cladding. Because if you get it wrong, or you get the wrong heights, it can be a very expensive mistake.
Yeah, the pencil.
Oh, no, I lost that ages ago.
Yeah.
And Ruben found it out the back. I thought it was in the bottom of one of the holes with the concrete. Don't use a doggy bar. Sometimes you'll have boards, especially long ones, that have quite a big bow in them, and the temptation is to use a chisel or a bar to try to move them around. But the result is you end up just marking the timber. Instead, just like a deck, you can use wedges to move them around. But unlike a deck, you can't push the wedges through the other side, so you need to cut them so that they've got a blunt end. It does bounce back a little bit, but not as much. For particularly stubborn boards, I like to use opposing wedges, which allow you to apply more force without damaging the timber. Bonus tip, clean your cladding, or don't get it dirty in the first place. When you've got it stacked up inside, avoid standing on it and getting muddy footprints. And when it comes to putting your boards on, go easy on the pencil so you don't leave pencil marks everywhere. You're going to get the odd pencil mark, try to wipe them off. Likewise with any of the mud. If you end up oiling or sealing your boards, a lot of the stuff is going to be sealed on there and it's never coming off. Now, I'm pretty sure that there's more than 10 tips or 11 tips, so let me know in the comments anything that you can think of. We need to carry on. We've still got heaps of this alligator put up. I bet you're wondering what these are for. Save the most awkward one for me.
Well, yeah.
I might as well just lay down. On the job.